Good afternoon. My name is Chris Bergeron. I'm the head hockey coach here at BGSU. Just entering my 9th year of being the head coach here. Prior to that, I was an assistant coach at Miami University in Ohio for 10 years, and that's where I played my college hockey. So starting my 19th year of coaching.
Awesome. So I just have a couple questions for you. What is the best piece of advice that you can offer high school student athletes who are looking to play at a collegiate level?
The best piece of advice is get used to operating outside your comfort zone. I feel like the comfort zone level is something where young people just tend to operate at, and I'm talking about in the classroom as well. Weight room, classroom, on the playing field. That is, you have to get used to and get comfortable being uncomfortable outside of your comfort zone. And the other best piece of advice, and this is just a sign of the times for me, is understand it can't be somebody else's fault every time. There's going to be situations where it is somebody else's fault, but don't let that be your fallback every time. Well, it was his fault. The teacher gave me a bad test. That's why I did poorly, or the coach ran a bad practice. It can't be somebody else's fault all the time. So I think operating outside your comfort zone is the first and foremost piece for me.
Awesome. During the recruiting process, do you look at social media? And if so, what do you look for? Would you recommend high school student athletes to reach out to you through social media?
The last part, no. I would rather them reach out more from if it's going to be a text message, that's about as social media. I know that's not social media. We really are not supposed to operate through social media as college coaches. Yes, we do look at social media. I think the best piece of advice I could give them is, does their social media represent themselves or their families properly, and what goes on there? And if there's something on there, whether it's something you posted or liked or whatever, I'm not a huge social media guy, but so I don't want to screw up the terminology, but if it doesn't represent who you are or who your family is, then you should take it down. And one of the things that we've done here at BGSU is we've actually gone through a consulting agency to monitor the social media of the 450, whatever it is, athletes at BG. So, we will make sure while they're here, we're doing things properly where social media is concerned. But prior to that, that would be my best piece of advice. And yes, we at Bowling Green Hockey do look at social media and the type of posts that a potential recruit is how he's representing himself.
Thank you. That was really good advice. So when you meet with a potential player, what kind of qualities do you look for?
What we're talking about, the words we use, we're looking for a certain type of wiring, which is first of all is a work ethic, somebody who is willing to work. I think it's one thing to say I work hard and I want to work hard. It's another thing to actually be willing to do that, which gets back to outside your comfort zone and putting maybe the social media down, or maybe the PS4 or whatever it is. Put that down for the time when you have to do your work, whether that work is your English homework or the weight room or extra things on the ice. It's hard to look for that in a human being, but it is something that we'll try to dig in and ask about what they're like. That stuff probably comes the most in the due diligence we do about the boy and his family, talking to teachers, talking to coaches, talking to sometimes other parents of teammates, because usually when we're talking to them, it's them and mom and dad, and all the answers are great, and he works really hard, and he does his homework all the time, and that's why sometimes as things get younger and younger, it's not necessarily great for us, because it's hard for a young person, in our case a young boy, to totally be honest in those situations. And we want them to be honest, and it's easier for a 17, 18-year-old to say, I could probably work a little bit harder. But we're looking for a work ethic. We're looking for sometimes an empathy as a teammate, to understand that this is a team sport. This isn't just about you, and be, I don't know if empathy is the right word, but that type of mindset that you are going through something similar as a teammate. And again, we have to find that through talking to coaches and teachers and so on. But I'm looking for a personality, somebody that can communicate with me and tell me what he's looking for. And then we can decide whether that's something we're looking for. And that's what makes recruiting so difficult, because you just never know is he putting on a show for you? Is he telling you what you want to hear? Are mom and dad doing the same? That, I wish recruiting came with a crystal ball. It would make it a lot easier.
So you've been talking a lot about the players' academics. So what's the average GPA, SAT, and ACT that you look for in a potential player?
See, for us, the NCAA has kind of set the table for us where that's concerned. Mm-hmm. They've put together an eligibility center where the young boy, the young athlete has to be eligible through the eligibility center, where they take their high school grade point average in terms of their core courses. And then they take their test score. No matter how many times they've taken it, they take the best version of the test score. And there's a sliding scale there. And for us here at BG, if the young boy is eligible through the eligibility center to play Division I hockey, that's what we're looking for. But we'll go deeper than that, because the best version of this boy as a freshman in high school and should look different than the best version of this boy as a freshman in college. So we will, if his grades say he just got through the clearinghouse or the eligibility center, we're going to call him out on that. We're going to ask him what happened. I want to hear his answer. Do you try as hard as you can just to get the minimum, or are you somebody that can work a lot harder, and maybe in high school you didn't see the value and you didn't see it heading into a Division I scholarship potentially? So that again goes to recruiting people that are a little bit older, that a little bit more mature, that understand I can work harder. Mm-hmm. So I don't like pigeonholing. We want to get you through the eligibility center and have you basically get accepted into BGSU, and that's their standards. So those standards are already in place. So all we do is kind of piggyback that, and if they're getting through the eligibility center and getting into BGSU, that's what we're looking for, and then we'll push them harder to be better. And we feel like it's worked for us so far academically. Our grades have been pretty strong, and now it's become part of our team culture that you better have good grades or you're going to stand out the wrong way, because most of the guys on the team have good grades.
So you've mentioned mom and dad coming up with the kids. So what do you believe the proper role for the parents when they are going through the recruiting process with you and your team?
Kind of the voice of reason, another set of eyes and ears, sometimes two sets of eyes and ears of people that know this young person better than anybody. I don't expect them to be answering questions on his behalf. I don't expect them to be, again, making excuses on his behalf, whether it be grades or whether it be hockey or whatever, maybe a behavior thing on social media. I expect them to be support for this young guy. Obviously, it's an intimidating situation being in a head coach. I'm not talking about mine. I'm just talking about generally speaking. They want to play Division I sports. They're sitting in the head coach's office. It's nice to have mom and dad there as a comfort, just to be there supporting. And that's what I look at their role to be. Support your young guy, and don't answer questions for him, and don't make excuses for him, but just understand that I'm coming from a good place. I just want to hear why his grades were such, or why he would post that on social media, or whatever it may be. And I hope mom and dad can be there to support. And I will, or the assistants will direct questions to the parents, but they're more of usually the business side of things or the scholarship side of things versus the kind of the guts of how your young son is wired. We don't need the parents to answer those questions. We want the boy to answer those.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So for upcoming high school student athletes, how would you best describe your coaching style to them?
Mine?
Yes.
Hard but fair. That's what I would say. I'm going to push you hard to be a better version of yourself. I don't think I do it unfairly or unrealistically. I don't expect you to get to a standard that you're not capable of achieving. I want to push you to be a better version of yourself. but I'm also going to love you on the hard day when you need an arm around you and say it's going to be okay. So I think hard but fair is the best way that I'm described.
So you've mentioned earlier about scholarships. I know that college hockey recruiting is much different than other sports. Most college hockey players must play at least 1 or 2 years of junior hockey team to get onto an ice hockey scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
What team would you recommend that player join if they wanted to play at the college level? What team would you recruit from?
There's no one team. There's whether in the U.S. it's kind of broken down into, there's kind of, I think they call it tier 1. There's junior leagues in the U.S. and Canada that they have to be in those leagues for us to even watch. There's so many junior leagues in North America, never mind if you bring Europe into that conversation, but there's so many junior leagues that you can't be everywhere. So I would recommend playing at the highest level of junior, either in the U.S. or Canada that you can, and leagues that college teams recruit from. And because it's such a small hockey world, all the prospective student athletes that want to be a student athlete, they know what leagues those are. We don't have one team we work with. We're looking for certain kids, not certain teams. And that's the best piece of advice I can give on that.
Okay. So what is the biggest thing that a potential player could do that would eliminate them from getting an offer from you?
Well, the best thing he could do, probably just show me that he doesn't care what comes out of his mouth, how he treats people. He doesn't care what type of person he is, whether it be on the ice or off. In this business, we are taking chances on people, not on hockey players. Every time we've tried to take a chance on a hockey player, it's backfired, because when things got hard, the people part of things got in the way and it just didn't work out. When we take chances on people, it always works out, because you're taking chances on the right type of person, a person who's willing to come outside his comfort zone and work hard and be held accountable and live up to expectations and standards and help raise those expectations and standards. So I think somebody who doesn't care about people, about relationships, about how he treats people, again, whether that be face-to-face, social media, whatever, for us, that's the best way to get excluded.
Okay. So how early should a potential player reach out to you, and what is the best way?
Well, I think the NCAA is going to have some say on that. Right now, it's a little bit of the Wild West, and they're trying to corral it and make it junior year in high school, and September of their junior year. So I'm hoping there's a little bit of structure brought to the table that way, because I think that would be fine. Other sports do that. About the things I'm talking about, talking to an 8th grader, even if he contacts you, or a freshman in high school, it's very, very difficult. It's not something we want to do. So I'm going to let the NCAA dictate when can we receive some type of communication from these young people. And for me, pick up the phone and call. The art of a conversation, because of text message and social media, has gone away. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to have a conversation. I'd like to talk to you and hear what your thoughts are and hear what your goals are. And if you play in a league that we recognize as a top league and so on and so forth, then that's why not do it that way versus email is another way. But again, I personally am okay with some type of communication that involves me talking to you. So I'll stay away from when, but I'm good with a phone call.
Awesome. So kind of going on the lighter side, what is the funniest thing a high school student athlete did to market themselves to you?
To market themselves to me?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I don't think I can give you anything good. I over the course of almost 20 years, I can't even think of anything that came across as overly crazy. I mean, what they'll do is they'll put videos together And some of these videos can be pretty goofy. Like it's them in the weight room or on the ice, and it's not meant to be goofy, but like maybe what they have on or how they look is a little bit crazy and comes across as funny to me, and it's them marketing themselves. But outside of that, probably nothing more than just a letter that maybe I'll find a little bit funny or something. So it's something along those lines, whether it be a video or some type of correspondence that I'll find funny.
And then the last thing, what's the craziest thing a parent did that made you not recruit their son?
And well, unfortunately, this happens all the time, but yell at opposing parents or yell at a referee to where it becomes a distraction for the young boy. We see it all the time, and we're one sport. I'm sure it happens across sports, and some of these parents, are living the experience through their son, and some of these crazy incidents end up becoming ugly because of a bad call or a bad break, or which happens in sports. I mean, that's sports. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. The winning team's going to be happy with the refereeing. The losing team probably won't. Not everybody can be the star. Some people are going to get more playing time than others. These are all reasons, and we'll see it all. We'll see it from parents yelling at their own team. We'll see parents yelling at the other team, yelling at the referees, yelling at other parents. It's something that us as a staff, with Ty and Barry and myself, we'll sit there and listen and find out which kid that parent is, which young person, which prospective student athlete that parent is representing, and we'll just scratch him off the list. I don't know if that makes us different. I don't know if other schools do that, but I've been at 2 places, and both those places, that's the way we handled it, because ultimately that's a snapshot of what we're going to have to deal with when he's on our team, and that's just not what it's about for us.
All right, well, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The staff at LRT very much appreciates this.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.